It's just one of those days.
Release the Kraken.
A moment of silence, my friends. Normally, we don't report on major junior hockey in this instance. I just felt like we'd do a quick little video because there was a big trade yesterday in the WHL. So if you don't necessarily watch major junior hockey, but maybe you watched the World Junior Hockey Championships that just ended, where Canada won in pretty dramatic fashion, defeating Czechia in the final. One of the names you would see on Team Canada, both for this gold medal and the prior gold medal that was in, I guess, what was it, the end of the summer, August, was Olen Zellweger. And for anyone that's watched Hockey Nation knows that I've talked about Olen for a long time before anybody else kind of knew. I talked about him probably starting back with Coach Frenchie when there was the under 17s, and I was watching the under 17s, which is the Hlinka Gretzky tournament, pretty famous tournament. And I said, man, if you're watching Brandt Clarke, and he was at the time rated top, 7 in the NHL draft, and then you watch Olen Zellweger next to him, I mean, Zell's a better skater. And if you think Brandt Clarke has a genius level hockey IQ, this is kind of my comment at the time, then what the heck is Olen? Because Olen might be the same. And I think that was when he started coming on the stage on Team Canada's radar. And then, he made Team Canada, and Brandt Clarke was actually left off the Team Canada roster for last year's team. And he set the record in the World Junior Championship last year for points by a defenseman. And I think that was like Drew Doughty that he tied. So he tied that record. There was one other defenseman. Who was it? I'm blanking on the other defenseman. But that's really burst onto the stage. He was drafted as a result of his Hlinka exploits, I think, more than anything, in the second round by the Anaheim Ducks. We drafted him in the WHL as a 14-year-old in the Bantam draft. I think it was the third round. So we had traded away our first and I believe second. Was Olen a third-round pick? I think he was. So yesterday was announced upon returning. I kind of knew that was probably going to happen. I wasn't involved in, obviously, the trade. That would be our GM, Dennis Williams, who was the coach of Team Canada, and Mike Fraser, our assistant GM, who is, probably he's intimately involved in running a lot of GM role with the team. So, he's probably involved. I haven't talked to either since this, just saw them, kind of text our group and confirming that both Olen Zellweger and Ryan Hofer have been traded to the Kamloops Blazers for a truckload. I'm just going to confirm one thing. I think Olen was a third-round pick. Just double check that. I'm not lying. Definitely wasn't a first. No, he was a second. I apologize. He was 42nd overall. We had traded our first-round pick in 2018, so we draft our guys into the WHL, which is one of the 3 leagues that make up the Canadian Hockey League, the CHL, and the bulk of the players on Team Canada come from the CHL. There was one from NCAA, which is Adam Fantilli. Olen Zellweger hit our training camp, and he probably weighed $137, so he was like 5'7", maybe 5'6", 137. And he hit the ice, and the older guys are like, I want to play with him. It's like, he's so good. I'm like, we have to send him back. I remember weighing him in. And then the following year, which I've probably told this story before, Olen comes back. We're doing the weigh-ins, and I'm looking at this kid, and I'm like, who am I looking at? He goes, it's Olen. I'm like, Olen, geez. And he put on about 30 pounds. So I think he went from he was probably like a $130, $130. I think it was $137. And he went up to about 160 something. And I was like, wow. But he looked yoked. And you could tell he had worked so hard in his time that was away. And I think that's the one thing about him that I will say is like, and if you listen to the coaches, he works off the ice. He works on the ice. He works off the ice. His skating is elite, and I think that's a big thing. And even though he's not very tall, he's like maybe 5'9", 5'10". He's a built like a truck. And that's from work. Like he didn't start out that way. When our prior coaches would do the strength testing, Olen was like the second and third strongest guy in the team as like a 17-year-old. And again, that's just he like lives in the squat rack. He lives in the gym apparently. So I think above all of that, just a great kid. He's kind of got a different personality. I remember walking out this year's camp. I was lucky that he was on a couple of my teams that you get to coach in training camp, and he's just nice on the bench. He's so good out there. He's just such a great player. And then I walk out in the street and I look, and down the street I see this figure looking up at me, and he goes, and he waves, and I'm like, "Hi, Olen." He's like half a block away. He just saw me. He's like, "Hey, coach." He's just a genuine nice person. I'm excited for him in Anaheim. He's played one game in San Diego. I think he maybe got a point in the AHL. I would expect next year he'll probably, Anaheim's not exactly the greatest situation on defense, so it's a great opportunity for him. They got a lot of young talent. He's going to fit in just fine there. If he's not in the NHL next year, I'm sure he'll get a cup of coffee at least. He'll probably be in the year after. It would make sense that he goes to the AHL. He was defenseman of the year, maybe unexpectedly for a lot of people in the WHL last year. Just had phenomenal numbers. He earned this all the way. This is what the Silvertips get. So this is building for the future. We're kind of a 500 team now. Already moved out goalie Braden Holt, who, by the way, is doing very well in Victoria. Thanks, Braden. We kind of struggled a little bit defensively this year, which is really, really unusual for us. So first Braden Holt moves out, and he's doing pretty well, but now you're going to see these guys go to Kamloops, who are, they're a contender for the WHL championship. I'll have to let's check the Canadian Hockey League rankings, but coming back, so if you think of Olen, over a point a game as a defenseman, he's got 10 goals, 28 points in 23 games, missed 14 or 15 games because of the Canadian World or the Canadian team, like being on the Canadian team and being at the World Junior Championships. Ryan Hofer is just a big 6'3", drafted by the Washington Capitals. Great shot, great kid. Also, like, I think he has 30 goals this year, and I think he had 28 last year. Let's double check. Let's not make it up. So last year he had 25 goals. I'm over exaggerating. So his first year, it was 2021. He's a 2002 birth year, Ryan Hofer, and he had 6 goals in 22 games. I split the time with Portage Terriers and then came to the Everett Silvertips. Last year, 67 games, 25 goals, 58 points, and he had 6 goals in 6 playoff games, 10 points. Real gamer. This year, 23 goals in 36 games, 36 points in 36 games. So not quite 30, but I mean, it's kind of a little bit past the halfway mark in the WHL. Drafted 6th round by the Washington Capitals. Again, 6'3", 181 pounds. As a 2002, he's an overager. So now he goes to a team that's in contention, and we can take a look at that. Olen Zellweger. Well, let's just see here. Where is Olen's stats? So he's played 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 4th year in Everett. His first year, only 12 points in 58 games. And if you watch Olen, and you always know he was an offensive talent. And then, with the COVID shortened year, he played 11 games, had 13 points in 11 games. Last year, defenseman of the year, 55 games, 78 points, 9 points in 6 playoff games. And then this year, a little bit, maybe not as strong as a team as the prior year, like 23 games, 28 points. We know what he did in Team Canada. 2nd round draft pick by the Anaheim Ducks from Calgary, Alberta, 2003 birth year. So he is eligible to come back next year for Kamloops. I just don't see that happening. I think he's going to be in the AHL and then make his way to the NHL rather quickly. I remember seeing him in the first training camp because I lived really close to Anaheim, and I went to Anaheim, and I remember texting our coach, and And Mike, I said, well, I think Olen is coming back, but I'm going to tell you right now, he's probably the 5th best defenseman on the ice for the Anaheim Ducks. And that was when they still had Hampus Lindholm. They still had Josh Manson. Cam Fowler's on the ice. I think Drysdale was on the ice. And what's the other defenseman that was there? Kevin Shattenkirk, was that one? No, Kevin wasn't there yet. I forget who it was. It was the other defenseman was there. But it was like, I'm like, he's probably the 5th best defenseman on the ice. They're like, wow, really? I'm like, his skating is exceptional. He's so smart. He's so confident. He does not look out of place. He is not like sitting there deer in the headlights. He looked very, very good. Came back, mentioned, 78 points, 55 games, played for Team Canada, won the gold, and then wins the gold again. So 2 gold medals for Olen. This is just the beginning of a great career. All right, so coming back the other way, don't know a lot about all these players, but let's just see who comes back. So Caden Hamill is a 2005 birth year. Rylan Pierce is a 2005 birth year defenseman. So 2 defensemen come back. Forward, which is a 2007, Jack Baker. So that's a young prospect. That's really good pickup. And then overager Drew Engelott, presumably to make room for Ryan Hofer, because you can only have so many overagers that are 2002s. Okay, so that's what comes back, right? No, that's not all that comes back. In addition, for Zellweger and Hofer, who will have a huge impact, I think, with Kamloops, probably makes them a serious contender for the WHL championship, and maybe the Memorial Cup if they win that, right? Like if they win that, then they go to the Memorial Cup, which is what we all play for, a national championship with Ontario and Quebec. A first round pick in 23, another first round pick in 24, another first round pick in 25, another first round pick in 26. 4 first round picks. So the next 4 years, the Everett Silvertips, we have not had that many first round picks. I think this was the first year we finally had a first round pick and didn't trade it away. So all the great talented players that come through a result, we just have great scouts in Canada. Like really, so much talents come through without first round picks because we're always in contention and there was always deals made. That's not all. Not just 4 first round picks, a second round pick in 23, a second round pick in 26, a third round pick in 25, a fourth round pick in 23, a fifth round in 24, and a sixth round in 26. Now, I'm trying to think, there was one conditional. There's only one conditional, which is the second round in 26. Okay. Like, this is kind of crazy. This is like the foundation of the next 2-3 years. This is going to prove to be absolutely pivotal because that much dry powder in the hands of the Everett Silvertips, the scouting staff there in Canada, is, have nothing but praise for our scouts and our talent selection. It's pretty hard not to, it's validated by history, right? Like they're going to absolutely knock it out of the park with this volume of assets. Like, just licking our chops here. So the future is very bright as a result of this. It's sad to see Olen go. It's sad to see Ryan Hofer go. They're both going to get a tremendous opportunity. And let's take a look. Actually, I want to take a look at the CHL rankings right now. So CHL rankings are combined. We know Seattle, our crosstown rivals, are top notch, right? Kamloops currently is ranked about 10th. They are 21-7, 3-2. They just added like a 35-40 goal scorer and an over point a game top defenseman in the WHL. That has got to put them over the top. I haven't even checked to see what other moves they made. So just like to wish both Ryan and Olen great success, both with Kamloops. Hopefully they can achieve something that we didn't quite get to do here, which, the Memorial Cup was canceled twice, and I think we got ripped off because we had the best damn team in the nation. We had like Dustin Wolf and Olen. We'll never know. That was great. And then last year, real close, great year. tough playoff, lots of injuries going into the first round, just tons of injuries. And that's just been the story. So I hope that they get a legitimate shot at winning a WHL championship and going to the Memorial Cup. So that we will watch Kamloops very closely, and then in their pro careers. Like, you're going to see an Olen Zellweger in the NHL at some point with Anaheim. You're going to see Ryan Hofer definitely in the AHL, maybe in the NHL with the Washington Capitals. And that's what's exciting about Major Junior, and is seeing these guys when they're younger grow over the years and then get an opportunity to play pro. So best of luck to them. A little bit bittersweet, insane job by our GM and assistant GM getting this. Like, this is crazy. I mean, the scouting staff and the management are just, they're gonna lick their chops. I don't get to see Canadian games really. I'm kind of in the US scout, so I get to see the players here, and we only have 2 US picks typically, and then maybe late round picks in the normal draft, the regular draft. But this on top of our own picks, like, there's going to be some phenomenal players that come out of this. So kudos to Everett Silvertips. Sorry to Silvertips fans to see these guys, but you got to be very, very excited for the future. The benefits of this will be paying off for a long time. And, well, we wish Olen and Ryan the best of luck. And Olen, I'll see you in Anaheim somewhere.